The air in Shanghai's Cathay Hotel ballroom was thick, a heady mix of expensive tobacco, French perfume, and the faint metallic temps of the Hongpu River drifting in from outside. The year was 1937. Shanghai was a city of fractured souls, torn between the international settlements and the ever-present, encroaching shadow of the Imperial Japanese Army. Julian Thorne, looking every bit the polished British diplomat, adjusted his tuxedo cuff. His eyes swept the lavish room with a practiced, casual indifference. But beneath the facade, he was a cipher, an agent for the Secret Intelligence Service. His mission was simple yet perilous. Find the Molikan vital troop movements to the Nanjing government. And then he saw her. Lin Xi was a vision, standing by the rich mahogany bar. She was draped in a midnight blue cape, with exquisite silver peonies embroidered along the daringly high slit. To the high society of Shanghai, she was just the beautiful daughter of a wealthy socialite. But to the underground resistance, she was the Red Swallow, a lethally effective operative for the communist cells. On paper, they were mortal enemies. Their ideologies were worlds apart. His was a desperate mission to maintain the British Empire's crumbling grip on power. Hers was a burning desire to ignite a fire that would burn the old world to the ground and forge a new one from the ashes. As he approached her voice, a low, silk rasp cut through the din. "You're staring, Mr. Thorne." Julian leaned against the bar, a charming smile playing on his lips. "It's a beautiful dress, Miss Lin." It would be a crime not to notice. The words were a social nicety, but the real exchange happened beneath the polished surface of the bar. His hand brushed against hers, a brief, electric contact. Between his fingers, he expertly slipped a tiny microfilm canister into her palm. His voice dropped to a near-inaudible whisper, his lips barely moving. "The Japanese are moving on the Jubei district tomorrow. If your people stay there, they'll be slaughtered." Xi's expression didn't flicker. She calmly took a sip of her champagne, her eyes holding his. And why would a king's man care about the fate of a few rebels? Julian leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear, the intimacy a stark contrast to the danger of their words. "Because," he murmured, "I'd do rather hunt you through the alleys of this city for another 10 years than see you die in a gutter tomorrow." A silent understanding passed between them, a dangerous truce in their private war. 3 nights later, the city itself screamed. The distant, terrible sound of mortar fire echoed from the outskirts, a grim confirmation of Julian's warning. Now, he was the one being hunted. He sprinted through the narrow, labyrinthine Longtang alleys of the French concession, the heavy thud of boots pounding on the wet cobblestones right behind him. He had been compromised. Suddenly, a hand shot out from a darkened doorway, yanking him violently into the shadows. His training took over. He drew his Webley revolver in a flash, pressing the cold barrel against her throat. A soft whisper stopped him. "Easy, Englishman." It was she. The rain had plastered her dark hair to her face like ribbons of silk. In her hand, she held a Mauser's C-96 pistol with a cold, practiced proficiency that sent a shiver down his spine. They stood there, pressed together in the cramped, damp space. The proximity was overwhelming, intoxicating. The heartbeat Julian felt wasn't just his own. It was hers, a lethal, undeniable rhythm thumping against his chest. In that fleeting, rain-soaked moment, there was no Britain, no revolution, no crumbling empire. There was only the undeniable heat of 2 people who were never meant to exist in the same world, let alone the same cramped alleyway. He kissed her then. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was a desperate, bruised collision of teeth and lips, tasting of rain and salt and the metallic temps of fear. It was a kiss that acknowledged their shared, impossible fate. "If they find us together, it's a firing squad for both of us," Julian muttered against her skin, the reality of their situation crashing back in. She pulled back just enough to look him in the eyes, her own burning with a fierce, tragic light. "Then let's make sure they don't find us," she replied, her voice filled with defiance. By winter, the inevitable had happened. The Japanese occupation was total. The lone island, the small pocket of the international settlement, was shrinking by the day, a cage closing in. Julian received his final orders, delivered through a clandestine channel. He was to assassinate a high-ranking informant who was scheduled to meet a contact at the prestigious Peace Hotel. From his sniper's perch in a building across the street, he looked through the scope. his breath frosting in the cold air. His heart froze. The informant's contact, the target's associate, was she. He watched as she handed over a folder, but she wasn't handing it to the enemy. She was giving it to a double agent Julian himself had been tracking for months. It was a setup. She was being framed, walking into a deadly trap. In that same instant, he saw the glint of a rifle barrel from a different window. A Japanese assassin, poised to eliminate her. Julian had a split second to make an impossible choice. He could complete his mission, assassinate his target, and let she die. It would preserve his cover, serve his country's interests, and erase the one person who could expose him. Or he could fire a shot that would save the woman who was technically his enemy, but in doing so, reveal his position and condemn himself. He didn't hesitate. He shifted his aim and pulled the trigger. The Japanese sniper fell from the window. The square below erupted into chaos. In the swirling confusion of panicked crowds, Julian saw she look up, her gaze drawn by the sound of the shot. For one heart-stopping second, their eyes locked across the distance of a dying city. He saw recognition, understanding, and a farewell all in one glance. Then she vanished into the panicked crowd, a ghost in silver peonies. Julian left the rifle behind. He was a ghost now, too. He knew he could never go back to London, never return to the life he once knew. His choice had been made. In the smoke-filled jazz clubs of late 1930s Shanghai, as the world teetered on the brink of a new war, legends began to whisper. They spoke of the Englishman and the Chinese girl, two shadows who still haunt the ruins of the old city. Two enemies who, in a world that was already on fire, chose each other. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales from the shadows of history.